I requested for an internship. I learned more in that 3 months than I learned 4 years at university and 3 CFAs. It's just one-on-one with the PMs, talking investments every day. The whole structure and how Aylett is built is to outlast. Being in the office, that collaborative environment, sitting around a table discussing companies. We have the morning meeting, which is kind of supposed to be like everybody says a 2-liner, but ends up being like an hour because you just kind of dive into the weeds. It's definitely where the magic happens. That's where, especially as a new analyst, you learn the most in those. Like just sitting there quietly, you don't necessarily have anything to say, but once again, your brain's a sponge and you're just taking all of that knowledge and experience. Walt's been, 25, 30 years? Dags and Justin, over 10 years. All of that wealth of knowledge and experience just kind of like straight into your brain is awesome.
I think it's a culture of hard work and doing the work, and that spills over to everything we do and talk about. We have a very big focus on understanding the company, understanding the asset and what's the drivers behind it. And obviously price is a very important part. You can't overpay for that asset, so we do a lot of work on and then analysis and valuing that asset as well in order to buy at a good price that gives you a margin of safety. But once again, to understand the company as well gives you a margin of safety in your thinking, not just in the price where things can go wrong. And therefore you need to really understand the company really well, as if you are just an entrepreneur going to buy that company with your own money and just run it for the rest of your life. You need to have that same kind of mentality in looking at it, really understanding the asset. We all aim to act pretty rationally and communicate based on facts.
The environment here is really a learning environment. Every day the guys come to work, they're keen to learn more, from the PMs to the analysts. And that really spurs the passion that you see every day. And it really creates a really nice environment where you are excited to come to work every day. Really understand the assets, really understand what's the economics behind the businesses, what's the competitive advantage or moat, and to try and understand, will this business be here in the next, let's say, 10 years? And in that journey, when you try to understand the business, it's about really learning. It's about continuously learning about the industry, about the business, about the management, and all the qualitative stuff. But eventually you want to determine what you think the asset is worth, and just wait for the market to give you the opportunity.
I love what I do on a daily basis, analyzing companies, understanding businesses, business models, and then kind of the excitement of a new idea or an interesting idea where you see value. That's like kind of the job, what the job entails, and I love doing that. So, but then specifically at Aylett, it's the people you work with. You have kind of this structure where you have kind of a vibrant, I guess, community where you have these kind of experienced heads that you can learn so much from, and it's a continuous learning process. But then you also have kind of some youngsters coming through that are like pushing the boat a little bit and bringing different ideas, different perspectives. But I think like what encapsulates what I love about Aylett is that kind of morning meeting vibe where impromptu, sit around a table, go into the PM's offices, discuss companies, discuss ideas, discuss situations, discuss the country, economic, whatever it might be.
The best thing here is I'm doing a job I love.
Yes.
So I'd love to do the job every day. I'm doing it with people that I think are really good people and that like really have the client's interest at heart.
Yeah.
And working for a cool, growing organization, and I think that's one of the best things to do. You're doing work that you think matters. You're in a business that is growing, and you're doing it with people you like. And I think that's one of the main things you want to do in your career in life.
Yeah.
I think when your stocks go up, that's always the best day.
Yes, that helps.
But no, just sitting here, debating with the team, doing the work, reading the financials, I think all of that kind of builds into what you enjoy every day. I mean, overall markets are basically just a bunch of different opinions. It's reflected in prices. So your view is not necessarily the right view, and that's why having people here to bounce ideas off, to tell you where they think you're wrong, where they think you could be more right, those kind of things I think are what makes the business better. And that's why it's better to be working as part of a team and not working by yourself, is that you get that interplay between people with different worldviews, different experiences, different perceptions, and I think that's where the value happens, is the interplay between the team.
I studied investment management at Stellenbosch. I did my financial analysis honors. I was writing CFA. I knew this is what I wanted to do, but no experience. It was mind-blowing because I always tell everybody that asks me, like, should I carry on studying? Should I do CFA instead of work? And I said, listen, if you have the opportunity to get a foot in the door, work in the industry, do analysis work, and you just make your brain a sponge, just absorb everything you can. So that 3 months was like mind-blowing, learnt so much. And then at the end, so probably mid-December, sat down with Dags and Justin, and they said, listen, go write your CFA 3, because I was due to write my CFA 3 the next June, and then contact us and we'll see what we can do. So that gave me like extra impetus to study hard for CFA 3. And then when I wrote it, I contacted them and they were like, okay, cool, we'll see what we can do. Gave me a call back shortly thereafter, said, listen, 6-month probation. We liked what you did in the 3 months. And yeah, haven't looked back since.
I went to Singapore this year, and that was a pretty cool trip because we went for one of our holdings, which is a company called SPM Offshore. And what they do is they make those big floating ships, roughly, that sit over ultra deep water oil. So where everyone kind of thinks of offshore oil rigs as those 4-legged things that sit in the sea. Those are shallower. Yeah. When you go very, very deep, you basically use a ship that sits there permanently and floats and goes all the way down to the seabed. So SPM Offshore produce those ships. They are one of 2 companies that produce the really big ones in the world. And one of their newer ships was being built at a shipyard in Singapore, so they organized an investor day there. And I think that was really cool. And like a lot of the time with these companies, particularly companies that build real things, is that you see the spreadsheets, you read the earnings calls, you talk to management, but you like never really see the real stuff. Certainly with a lot of global companies where they're not in South Africa, right? But so now I got to go there, got to see the ship that they're producing. Like, it's very tangible, very real. It's this massive ship, huge operation, and then you kind of in those moments you get the real sense of scale for what some of these businesses do. These are not little businesses. They employ thousands of people. They're building these massive pieces of infrastructure. And I think it gives you an appreciation of the company that you didn't have before. And you also get to meet with management, particularly not just the ones that are at the conferences, but the ones that are on the ships building, they're like day-to-day employee. Yes. And that's often where you get the best sense of how companies run, how the culture works, how people think about the business. For them, like, what's important is clearly like safety and on-time delivery, and those are all the things you want from a business like that, that's building these big expensive rigs that are going to be important for oil companies' revenues for like decades to come.
So being a global analyst, you find yourself obviously traveling not just in South Africa or Africa, but globally.
Yeah. I think it makes a very real difference, one, for the understanding of the business and the investment case around it. But it's also, I suppose it's one of the privileges of the business that we get to go visit these companies. We get to go speak to their management teams. These are guys that are running the businesses all the other days of the week, but then they put aside some time to talk to you and talk through their business. And I think what I always find most interesting about that is that the passion for people's businesses always comes through, at least in the good management teams, is that like you can tell that they are just passionate about their business, and that comes through in the interactions with you. Whereas when you're at a more generic kind of conference, it still does, but it's more you're in a hotel room, you're their 10th meeting of a day. It's a little bit more sterile, if I can word it that way. Whereas like when you do these investor trips and these field days, it's a lot more, it's a lot better. You get a way better sense of management, you get a way better sense of the business and how it operates, and all the things you want to understand more as an investment analyst.
Yes. Talk about beer.
Yeah, so I also did another investor trip to Mexico City for Anheuser-Busch, one of the original distilleries for Corona there. They hosted the Investor Day for their global business with a focus on the Mexican market. And that was just also an incredible trip because you got to deal with different layers of management. You got to see, they did tours into the city to see their operations. So you saw their operations from a supermarket all the way to like a tiny little kiosk-like store. You saw how their business integrated into the local economy. You saw brands that you hadn't seen here. You got to drink fresh beer straight out of the brewery, which for beer, freshness is the best. So if you can get it straight out the keg, it's going to be the best beer you've ever tasted, and I guarantee that it was. And you then got to speak to other investors. You got to see how they think about the business, their concerns, the advantages they see. Again, you get to speak to management on a way more informal basis than on a like one-on-one meeting at a conference. And that was also just a great trip in terms of understanding the business, seeing its power within the local economy versus it just kind of touring one of the breweries here, which is also pretty cool, but it's not quite the same.
Way to next. What do you think your next trip will be to?
Yeah, so currently nothing on the calendar. I've done a lot of travel this year, but I definitely will be traveling again. If I were to guess, it would be the UK or the US, but I mean, I've been everywhere from Brazil, Japan, Singapore, Europe, and then also UK and US, so who knows where. Oh, Kenya as well. I also went to Kenya, so
sometimes you wake up at the reverse time.
Almost can't guess where I'll go next, but like I'll probably be traveling a handful of times again in the coming year.
My advice would be to any graduate is that be, as you said, a learning machine, but be willing to accept, okay, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I don't know kind of the industry and what the job entails 100%, because that's kind of, at varsity, it's very theory-based. Even CFA, very theory-based, like no application of, this is the company, we want to analyze this company for potential investment. You do projects, but it's very, very like superficial, high level. And I always say, like, if you can get your foot in the door, if you get offered a position, grab it with both hands and be a learning machine, because that way you're gonna go far. If you have that learning mindset and that my brain is a sponge mindset, you're gonna do really well.